Take examples. They will tell us, Thomas Sankara tried to do it like this, but where is he? He is dead. The Haitian president, he tried to do it like this. Where is he? He is dead. Gaddafi tried like this. Where is he? He is dead. These are the veiled statements made to us to instill fear. If we remain in this posture of fear, we will be cowards, and history will judge us. Our children will ask questions. Our grandchildren will ask questions. We are writing history. There is no room for cowardice.
All right, Shalom Akim. Koholoyim La, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Chakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and who teach well. Shalom to the Akim out there that's pushing truth, that's laboring in the word, and that's pushing the gospel of the great kingdom that's going to come. Shalom to the Akwath that's listening in, remaining true to the faith, remaining faithful and submissive to their husbands and guiding their children. All right. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes that scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. You Israelite foreigners out there who live among the heathen and who look like those heathen nations, but your lineage goes back to the progenitors of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel through the line of your fathers. All right, I want to say peace and blessings to you all, Barak Thumb. Okay. And, I've been meaning to get into a lesson dealing with this brother, Ibrahim Traore, Salakia. I get his last name mixed up all the time. But, like I said, I was meaning to get into the lesson concerning this man in the Burkina Faso situation. Literally, for those who remember, the situation that happened over in Libya, back when Obama was in office. All right. What happened? America overthrew that government of Libya, which was headed by Muammar Gaddafi. All right. And this is a man who was very well loved by his people. He's very much loved by the citizens of Libya. Salakia. Noise in the background. He was loved by his citizens, you know what I'm saying? And when you went into the policies that was pushed in Libya, it was who would have a problem with those policies, you know what I'm saying? Giving subsidies, you know what I'm saying, thousands of dollars to a newlywed couple, you know what I'm saying? And they would actually get their own plot of land. You know what I'm saying? Free healthcare. All right. School paid for. If you wanted higher learning, if you wanted to go for higher learning, it would be paid for by the state. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to create a independent currency. I believe it was called the dinar, but it was going to be backed by gold. All right. And this caused a stir in America. All right. So what the United States government did was they overthrew that government in Libya. And after that, Libya came, it devolved into chaos. You see what I'm saying? You had literally a slave trade that was a modern day slave trade that was happening in Libya, and the world couldn't say nothing about it. You see what I'm saying? It just divulged into chaos, man. You know what I'm saying? Or shall I say devolved? But when you see what happened, how they did Gaddafi and his bodyguards, his personal bodyguards, which were both women, you know what I'm saying? What used to the shit that they did to to these people, man. You know what I'm saying? All right. How they violated those two guards, how they, you know what I'm saying, how they humiliated Gaddafi, you know what I'm saying, and just mercilessly just took him out, man. You know? But we've seen that there's a process in how this is done. All right? There's a process in how this is done. And that process is laid out or outlined in the book Confessions of the Economic Hitman by John Perkins. All right? And in which he describes or he explains that there are 3 stages in how a nation is overthrown by America. All right? Number 1, they send in the economic hitmen. All right? These economic hitmen have a mission. Their mission is to go and bribe a nation's leader. You know what I'm saying? They're sent in there to give them a lucrative offer with strings attached, of course. You see? Quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. Slacking. Let me say that again. Quid pro quo. All right? Quid pro quo. And that that whole exchange, it never benefits the people of the country. It benefits bankers. You see what I'm saying? Ultimately, it benefits bankers. You see what I'm saying? So, if the bankers are dealing with a country that has its own currency backed by gold, then that means they lose leverage. All right? They lose leverage and control over that said country. All right? And I forget where the quote comes from, but the quote pretty much says, let me look this up real quick. Let's see if I'm wording that right. All right, so this is a quote. This is a quote by John Adams. And it says, "There are 2 ways to conquer and enslave a country. One is by the sword, the other is by debt. And both is heavily steeped in Esau's blessing." All right. So we're gonna start this off by going to the beginning. Let's go to Genesis. All right, bear with me. Genesis chapter 27, I believe it's 27. All right, Genesis 27, and let's go straight to the blessing that's given to Esau. All right. So this blessing that's given to Esau was given by his father Isaac, and it reads in Genesis 27 verse 38. "And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept." All right. And this is happening right after Jacob, his twin brother, had received the blessing. All right. That was originally meant for Esau. All right. And this blessing would come with rulership over the planet. All right. Rulership over the whole world. And it would be a perpetual rulership. You see what I'm saying? Esau was given this blessing. Verse 39, it says, "And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. All right. Now this is the same thing that Slakia. This is the same thing that Jacob had gotten. All right. Jacob had gotten this blessing by his father as well. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is the difference. Verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Right? Okay. So this was the blessing that was given to Esau, Edom. Okay. So let me read that quote from John Adams again. It says, there are two ways to conquer and enslave a country. One is by the sword, the other is by debt. All right. And both of these is how Esau has acquired the rulership over the planet. All right. Now you can see that in times past, he had gained control over the nations through the sword. Back in the time of Alexander the Great. All right, let's go to the book of Maccabees. First Maccabees chapter 1. All right. First Maccabees chapter 1, and let's read verse 1. It says, and it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, all right, who was an Amalekite. Okay, you read about the people of Macedon, you know what I'm saying, they go to the Amalekites, okay, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations. All right, and this is what happened in the known world. You see what I'm saying? This is what happened in the known world. Check this out. Insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. Okay. Verse 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations, and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he would die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. All right, these were his generals. You see what I'm saying? And this is, this whole split was what began the Diadochi. All right, the Diadochi empires. It says, verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants, his generals, bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. All right. So this is what happened. So like John Adams said, all right, the two ways to conquer and enslave a country is one by the sword, the other is by debt. So the same way these Amalekites took over the known world at that time through the force of the sword, this is the same way they're doing it now, but by the force of debt. You see, both of these aspects, all right, are heavily steeped in his blessing of using the sword. All right, the means to conquer nations. You see? So when you look at what's going on with Burkina Faso right now, okay, we're gonna deal with a couple videos. We're gonna watch a couple videos. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to pretty much expound on some of the things that's happening. You know, especially the hypocrisy that we see. Right. So let me get this started by claiming fair use. All right. Let's go here. All right. This is the Fair Use Act disclaimer. Okay, fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. It's allowance that is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Okay? This is from the AI Assist. It says, fair use is a legal doctrine in the United States that allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission from the copyright owner, typically for purposes like criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, or research. It aims to balance the rights of copyright holders with the public's interest in accessing and using creative works. All right. So fair use. All right. Now with this first video that we're going to showcase, all right, keep in mind that I just showcased, or not showcased, but I just mentioned rather the book that was written by John Perkins, okay, and it explains these 3 steps in order to overtake a nation. All right. So I went into it a little briefly. Okay. When they want to overthrow a nation, all right, first they will come in with a generous offer. All right. An offer that seems, it would seem stupid to reject. You know what I'm saying? All right. This offer can come with let's throw a number out, like let's say $142 billion. $142 billion in certain social programs or whatever, you know what I'm saying? All right. I'm pretty much jumping a little too high with that number, but yeah, let's be a little more realistic. How about $2 billion? Okay, $2 billion. And yeah, that was a big number. $2 billion, right? And that can be used for certain programs and this and that, you know what I'm saying? Maybe for military or something of that nature. All right, but it comes with stipulations. It comes with strings attached. You know what I'm saying? So in exchange, you have to give a portion of this or that and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? All right, maybe this resource or that resource over there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that country might be rich in diamonds, or rich in rubies or gold in the case of Burkina Faso. You know what I'm saying? Let's say this place might have oil. All right. And so they'll say, well, in exchange, you give us a percentage of your natural resource. All right. However, if you cannot pay us back the loan on this generous offer that we have, because of course it's not just going to be pay us back $2 billion. No, it's going to be pay us back $2 billion plus interest. All right. An exuberant amount of interest. You see what I'm saying? And it's set up that way in order to ensure that country can't pay it back. All right. So let's say that the interest is pretty much doubled on that loan. So instead of $2 billion, you got to pay $4 billion. And if you come short, well then you owe us this or you owe us that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give us all your reserves. You gotta give us or a higher percentage, an extreme amount of percentage added on to what you're already giving us. Right? Well, that's what the economic hitmen would go in and do. You know what I'm saying? But they wouldn't tell them about these stipulations. They won't tell them about that fine print. Okay? Their job is to be the salesman, if you will. All right? So let's say that country's president or prime minister or what have you, let's say he reads that agreement. Let's say he gets into the fine print and he actually takes the time to spend reading that fine print, and he realizes that, oh, if I don't end up paying this in interest, you know what I'm saying, by a certain amount of time, then all of these resources going to be theirs. So let's say he denies it, or not denies it, but rejects it. So he rejects that proposal. Here's the next step. The next step is when, you know what I'm saying, the economic hitmen go back to headquarters. They tell them that it was an unsuccessful endeavor. They send in the jackals. The jackals is the second arm of this of this operation. All right. So the jackals go in, and more often than not is by the use of the CIA. And these jackals will go in and they will either set up a coup, or they will set up an assassination attempt. All right, to take out the ruler of that nation. Okay, this happened with the president of Haiti. You see, this happened with the president of Haiti, and there was an assassination. All right, and they also did the same thing with Venezuela. They did the same thing with multiple places. All right, but we're gonna see in this video that these jokers, specifically this general Michael Langley, all right, he knows that there was an attack on Ibrahim Traore. All right, he knows this. He knows that there was funding for this. All right, he knows that there were operations that were set in place, all right, under his watch to have this go down. You see what I'm saying? So let's watch this.
If you look at Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, in a lot of these countries, the coup is led by someone we trained. Now, I put in the National Defense Authorization Act a requirement for you to issue us. If you look at Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, in a lot of these countries, the coup is led by someone we trained. Now, I put in the National Defense Authorization Act a requirement for you to issue us a report as to how many coup leaders our taxpayers have funded the training for.
But let me say, there's no correlation and there's no causation of U.S. training to these members.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out, because in like a dozen countries, the coup leaders are people we trained. Like, is it safe to say that this failed, General Langley?
It's safe to say that there's no correlation or causation of U.S. training to a coup happening.
All right, so you can clearly see that this dude right here, man, all right, Michael Langley, they know, all right, they all know that this was that this was specifically brought out, all right, because this is under the economic hitmen, you see what I'm saying, and the jackals. So you're seeing right here that the second phase has already been placed. All right, this second phase has already happened. You know what I'm saying? The attempts on these people. You know what I'm saying? All right, and these is Jakes, man. These is Jakes. You know what I'm saying? When we go to the map, let's go here real quick. All right, so going to this map, we can see right here clearly that this is essentially the western part of Africa. All right, this is where Israelites are, man. You see what I'm saying? In the western part of Africa, you got Burkina Faso. You have Mali right above it. You have Niger right to the east of it, and then you have Chad to the east of that. All right. You have Ghana to the south of it, and Nigeria to the southeast. Okay, this is where Israelites are at, man, in the western part of Africa. You see what I'm saying? So what the hell is Bishop Nathaniel and his crew? What are they doing, Slaki? What are they doing all the way over here? Check this out. In Kenya. What are they doing over there in Kenya? All right. Sudan, Ethiopia. All right. What's going on here, man? You see what I'm saying? It's not where they're supposed to be. You see? It's not where they're supposed to be, man. If they wanted to do all that, you know what I'm saying, jet setting around the world, why didn't they go over here to the western part? You see what I'm saying? Over in Mali, Ghana, you see what I'm saying? Nigeria, Burkina Faso. Why didn't they do that? You see? So, but in any case, you know, just to put that little side note, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference between Hamites and Israelites. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. Not all of the people in Africa, all right, are Israelites, man. You see what I'm saying? This is the land of Ham. The Israelites just happen to live in parts of Africa. All right? Because if you follow the trajectory coming from where? Coming from Israel. All right, coming from Israel, going down beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, they would end up in where? In West Africa. You see what I'm saying? This is where many of the Israelites of the Southern Kingdom went. Majority of them. You see? And then the rest would go up into you know, Spain. All right, there's jokers in Portugal, Italian. You see what I'm saying? The Italians, the all throughout Europe, man. Which Lord willing, I'm gonna do another video on that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. So the point being is that we have seen. Let's go back to the video. Salaki, if I'm all over the place, but let's go back to the video real quick.
If you look at Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, in a lot of these countries, the coup is led by someone we trained. Now, I put in the National Defense Authorization Act a requirement for you to issue us a report as to how many coup leaders our taxpayers have funded the training for.
But let me say, there's no correlation and there's no causation of U.S. training to these members.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out, because in like a dozen countries, the coup leaders are people we trained. Like, is it safe to say that this failed, General Langley?
It's safe to say that there's no correlation.
This ain't nothing worse than a than a coon ass nigga, man. Ain't nothing worse, bro. Ain't nothing worse. You see what I'm saying? And then you add then you add one of them who's got no beard on their face. All right, it's bald head, like face is shaved all up, man. Smoother than a pair of testicles. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You know, this dude, man. This dude. But you know, the hypocrisy, man. The hypocrisy. So we're gonna watch another video. All right. Again, fair use. All right. So it's the same guy. Okay. In another hearing, what he's doing is he's accusing, all right, Ibrahim Traore of using the gold reserves that's in Burkina Faso in order to prop up his regime, so to speak. All right, instead of using it for the benefit of the people. Imagine that coming from America. Imagine that line of reasoning coming from America. Here in America, where you can barely pay your bills. here in America, where you can barely buy groceries, here in America, where gas prices are up there, you gotta worry about whether or not you're gonna pay your light bill or pay your car note. You see what I'm saying? This is America here. You see what I'm saying? But the accusation is to Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso. All right, and it's the same thing that they did with Gaddafi. It's the same thing. When you saw all those benefits that was coming from the presidency of the Gaddafi, the Gaddafi administration, you know what I'm saying, or regime as they call it, the people loved Gaddafi. All right, Gaddafi's programs was giving everything to the people. All right, literally what you're seeing happening right now with Burkina Faso is that your boy Ibrahim Traore, all right, he's actually making these particular decisions in order to give sovereignty to this country, and he's also gathering other nations such as Mali, and any other nations that was mentioned in the previous video. All right. So the last thing that these jokers in America want, all right, because this guy right here, he's just a puppet. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? They're sitting in there good. This is a good nigga, man. This is a good house nigga. You see what I'm saying? And they're sending him out to bring out the what is it, the character assassination, right? So the point is to make the public, or give the public, a reason why we should go in there and take out their leader. You see what I'm saying? Because the economic hitmen, they failed there. That was number one. That's step one. The jackals, they failed there. That's step number two, as we've seen with the senator that just asked him, why is the taxpayer, paying for these people to be trained in order to bring out a coup? All right. So the second attempt failed. All right. Or the second stage. Now comes the third stage. In order to get that third stage in the position of being successful like it was in Iraq and Libya, they have to give the public a perception of this leader. You see what I'm saying? So this is what it is. Watch.
The other two competitors are just trying to replicate what we do best.
I can imagine a situation, though, in which the ruling elite of a country is receiving gratuities on the side that in order to the benefit of the strongman leader, and not to the populace of the country. Does that sort of corruption and bribery go on with regard to the Belt and Road?
Absolutely, Chairman. I see this, and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Traore and Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime. There's a number of examples across. Even in Sudan, what's going on with the rapid support forces and Burhan of the Sudan forces, when you get down to it, is all about the revenue that can be drawn out of that. And there are nefarious actors in the CCP or in sometimes Russia are complicit in those activities.
All right. So let's get this precept here. All right. Let's go to Mark. This is Mark chapter 3 and verse 27. And it reads, no man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. It's the same thing that happened in Iraq. It's the same thing that happened in Libya. All right. They had bound the strong man. So what they're trying to do right now in Burkina Faso is bind the strong man. You see? So let's go into the hypocrisy that we see in here, man, because you know the fact that these jokers is talking about he wants to use the gold that's there. Mind you, this is gold that's in Burkina Faso. This is gold that's in Burkina Faso. This has nothing to do with America. You see what I'm saying? Nothing to do with America. All right? But this is hypocrisy. This is Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 5. It says, the vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry. All right, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. All right. So this is the MO of Esau Edom, man. You know what I'm saying? To bind the strong man, to take the resources, all right, and to bring about what? To bring about economic decline. Let me show you a quick illustration of this. Bear with me. All right. All right, and this is what I saw from the beloved Elder Malcolm's video, and he shared this image, and this image says that it gives you everything that you need to know. Everything you need to know. You see what I'm saying? Everything. While they have these people on the left and the right going against each other, all right? They're here taking the gold, they're taking the diamonds, they're taking the resources, they're taking the oil, the gas. You see? They're taking all the wealth, the wealth and the riches of the land, and they got these people fighting against each other. You see? But this is how Esau Edom has always worked. You see? Let's go to Micah. All right. Micah chapter 2 and verse 2. It reads, woe to them. Let's start at verse 1. Micah 2 and 1, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. All right. This is what they do, man. Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage. All right. Verse 3, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, against this family do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go heartily, for this time is evil. You know what I'm saying? And these Edomites is going to get it, man. Because look at what they do. Look at what they do to Jake, man. You see what I'm saying? All right. And these are countries where Israelites are in. You see what I'm saying? Particular countries where Israelites are in. You know? And it's the same thing. It's no different than what they did over here in America. All right? When they had the northern tribes, okay, going against each other. All right? You had different tribes of Gad going against each other by Esau Edom, okay, stoking the flames on both sides. Then you had Gadites who's being put against Judites. All right. Then you got Judites going against Benjamites. Okay, Benjamites going against what? Asherites. Okay, Simeonites against Reubenites, and it's this is the MO of Esau Edom, man. All right, you have to bind the strong man in order to take his house. This is what's happening. Okay, it says they covered fields and they take them by violence, man. And they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. This is what's happening right before the eyes of people of the world, man. All right. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 16. Habakkuk 2 and 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. All right. Now the world is seeing what Esau Edom, the so-called white man, gets into. The world is seeing for themselves how they operate. All right. And it's a shameful thing. Verse 17, for the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of beasts which made them afraid, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein. You know what I'm saying? And these jokers are about to get their wake-up call very soon. You see? Like what does it say in Isaiah 33, I believe, right? And Salakia, I'm not trying to make this too long, so let's go to Isaiah 33 and verse 1. It reads, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. You see? The world is turning against these Edomites, man. And it's only a matter of time before they lose everything. All right? So I'm going to cut that there, man. I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. All right? This has been your brother, Zakaria Allah, branched out here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. In closing, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and who teach well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.